This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well, and this is, of course, being a Wednesday, the latest episode of what I'm going to start calling Theory Wednesdays. If you have any requests for information or problems that you need solving on any aspect of music theory, then get in touch. You can contact me via the website, and you can see the address up on screen there, and the link is in the description. Or leave a comment below the video, or come along and join us at 5 PM UK time on a Friday for the live stream, and kind of mention what it is that you want addressing there, and I'll probably end up making a video about it. Talking about the live stream, a couple of weeks ago I mentioned that I was looking for topics to cover in this theory series of videos, and one thing that was requested a few times was the whole topic of music notation, or specifically rhythm notation. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to try and cover the basics today. This may end up turning into a 2-video kind of series, little mini series contained within the theory series that I'm doing at the moment. We'll see how we get on, but if this whets your appetite, then let me know. Anyway, music, or specifically rhythm notation. This is basically just a way of writing down rhythms that can tell you something that tab usually can't tell you, which is how long a note lasts and how long the gaps between the notes are and all of that kind of stuff. The phrasing of something, it's a way of writing down the actual rhythmic aspect of it, hence rhythm notation. And we need to get cracking by looking at the basic symbols involved. These are basically like letters, and each letter represents a specific sound, and then you combine letters together to make words, or in this case rhythms. So let's take a look at this one here. This is called a whole note, a little egg-shaped thing, and this basically represents 4 beats. Any chord that you strum or note that you play that is associated with this symbol is basically going to be lasting for 4 beats, like this. Then if we take a whole note and divide it in half, we get, funnily enough, a half note, which is basically the same symbol as a whole note, but it's got a stem on it like this. And not surprisingly, if a whole note lasts for 4 beats, a half note lasts for 2 beats, like this. And what do you get if you split a half in half? Well, you get a quarter, and a quarter note lasts for 1 beat. This is why we get the term 4/4 time. It basically means that each beat is a quarter note, and there are 4 of them per bar. 4 quarters, 4/4 time. Okay, and this is what 4 quarter beats would sound like in a bar. Now this is where we start getting into a way of sort of phonetically representing the sound of these symbols. Basically, if you've got 4 quarter notes per bar, all you got to do to think of the sound of a quarter note is just to say the word T on each metronome click. So T, 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 like that, and you've got 4 quarter notes per bar. What about if we split the quarter notes in half then? Well, not surprisingly, we get 1/8 notes, and they look like this. And if you want to hear what 1/8 notes sound like, well, just here's your beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just say the word coffee on each beat. So you get coffee, 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 like that. And that's what 1/8 notes sound like. Here's some being played. Now we could divide eighth notes by 2 again and get 16th notes, and we're going to do that in a moment. But first of all, we're going to look at another way of dividing a beat. This time we're going to divide it into each beat into 3. And when you do that, you get these things. These are called triplets, and you can see that they are written basically as eighth notes but grouped together in bunches of 3s with a little 3 written bracketed over them. So if you've got a piece of music that is consistently using where the beats are divided by 3 into these things called triplets, then we say it is in 12/8 time because it's written as 12 eighth notes per bar. So what do triplets actually sound like? Well, people used to say, I was always taught that what you do is you say the word triplet, triplet, triplet on each beat, but that's a little bit cumbersome. I find it's much easier and much more natural to say the word evenly on each beat. So evenly, 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 like that. And that will sound like this when it's played. Okay then, the aforementioned 16th notes. This is where each beat is divided into 4 equal parts. And what you do there is you can count it as 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and like that. But a much more easy and intuitive way of doing it, I think, is to, on each beat, on each metronome click, just say the word Pepsi Cola. Pepsi Cola, Pepsi Cola, Pepsi Cola, Pepsi Cola. Then you get the sort of da-da-da-da-da-da-da kind of rhythm of it, which sounds like this when it's played. So those are the basic component parts of rhythm notation, certainly the ones we're going to look at today. You can create rhythms by combining those different component parts together. So for instance, here's this one. And if you've been paying attention, you'll know that that is basically going to sound like tea, coffee, evenly, Pepsi Cola. Tea, coffee, evenly, Pepsi Cola. And it will sound like this when it's played. So that gives you, a fair idea of what all of those different component parts can actually sound like, and the kind of combinations that you can come up with them. And, if you are, like me, an avid user of Guitar Pro for tabbing things out and reading tabs, then you've probably seen these kind of symbols in the tabs and not really, kind of fully appreciated what they're telling you to do. It's basically, now you know all the tea, coffee, Pepsi Cola, triplet, evenly stuff, you can probably take a look at some of the tabs that you've got afresh and get a little bit better idea of what's actually going on. There are some other things we need to look at though. First of all, there are these things called ties. Here's a rhythm that incorporates ties, and what's happening here is you see those little curved lines that go beneath some of the symbols there. Well, what's happening there is that wherever there's a curved line, a tie line as it's called, joining 2 note values together, it effectively adds the second note value to the first one. So what's going on there is that the first half of the second beat is getting added on to the first beat. So that first note that you play right on beat 1 of the bar, now instead of lasting till the beginning of beat 2, lasts until halfway through beat 2. It'll make sense in a minute, I promise you. And then the same thing on the end, the and of beat 3, the second half of beat 3. Well, what we're doing there is we're adding beat 4 onto that. And when you do that, it basically sounds like this. So you could hear there that, there was nothing being played on the metronome click of beat 2 and nothing being played on the metronome click of beat 4. What was happening was that the previous note was being held over for that particular note value of, what was tied together. There are other ways that you can display this. Music is a form of language, and in the same way as you use different words to mean the same thing in language, and people have different musical handwriting styles, if you like, you could always find another way to do it. And another way of writing that rhythm down that we can see there is like this. And what's going on here is you can see that first beat has a dot placed after it. Now, a dot, in musical terms, what that does is it increases the note value of whatever you're playing by 50%. So in the same way as when we were looking at the example there with the tie lines in there, you've got a whole beat, kind of a one beat on the first beat of the bar, which is then, and then you're adding half a beat onto that from the beginning of the second beat. Well, we're doing exactly the same thing here. We're just increasing the note value by 50%. So we'll probably get into looking at dotted rhythms and stuff in more depth later on if you want more information on this topic, but that's basically what dots do. When you see them written in rhythm notation, it's just a way of increasing the note value by 50%. So if you've got a dotted quarter note, it now lasts for a quarter plus an eighth, and so on. Now, as well as notes, in music, we also have rests, periods of silence, and each of the note values that we've looked at so far in this video all have an equivalent rest value. So there you can see what a whole note rest looks like. Next to it you've got a half note rest, a quarter note rest, 16th note rest, and so on. So that's what the rests look like. And basically when you encounter a rest in a piece of music, what you're going to do is you're going to just kind of silence, nothing coming out of your instrument at all. There's no kind of holdover from the previous note you're playing. It is literally, you just leave that amount of silence in the rhythm. Here are some examples of what rests can sound like in various different combinations using the note values that we've looked at so far. So hopefully you can now see that with a little bit of practice, and that is genuinely all it takes, you can get to a point where, in the same way as you can look at these symbols and realise that it describes me, that you can also look at symbols like this and realise that it describes this. So there you have it, folks, rhythm notation. I hope I've managed to demystify it a little bit, and if you were kind of thinking about, well, maybe I should look into this, but it seems like such an indecipherable kind of thing to get me head around, hopefully I've dispelled that myth. It is a language and you can learn it, and if you want any more videos on this topic, just let me know. For my wonderful Patreon supporters, I will put this entire entire video up on Patreon, so you can download it and watch it and keep it and, you know, make whatever use of it you want. And there's also an exercise that I give to my private students based on rhythm notation, and I'll throw that up on Patreon as well, so you can work through some examples on that, you know, on rhythm notation. And as I say, that's pretty much it for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed the video, found it useful, informative, and if you have, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so, and why not give me a like while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream, as I said earlier, on Friday 5 PM UK time. Let me know in the comments if you want any more videos on this topic, and I will happily do them. Well, for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.